Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to COM2160. Hopefully, everyone is doing good. Can anyone just confirm me? Like the slide, you can view it and you can hear my sound. Everything okay? Okay, great to know that. So, assignment 4 is up. Hopefully, you are working on assignment number 4. If you have any question regarding assignment number 4, I will encourage you to post in Younger discussion forum rather than email me. So that will be helpful for others as well, not only you. So you can post anonymous so no one else can know except me. So I got some question. I already answered those questions. So it's very I will encourage to do these things rather than emailing me. Okay. So good. Any question regarding anything? We have less participant now, like only 14. Maybe they will join. Okay, so for today's class, we are going to cover the exception handling, and then in the next class, on Friday's class, we will go through for real life case studies where you need to find out whatever you have learned from this course. And then on next Monday class, I will overview about your like the final exam, what will be the topics, and like the question types, those kind of things. Okay, for sure, up to now it will be online, and your exam date and time, whatever it was before, it's the same thing. Okay, so it's April 24th and time is 9 a.m. Okay, so maybe there can be way like you can start between it like some certain schedule time. I will let you know that. So Matthew asked, will you still have office hour until final? Yes, I have. If you need any kind of help, you can email me. If you even don't see any appointment block in Learn, you can email me. If you want to talk, I can join in Cisco Apex for sure. Okay. Okay, sure. So let's start. Another question: do you have any sample final exam? No. Okay. Rather than we'll discuss. So you already had you already appeared in the midterm, right, or the term test, right? So the question will be like that. Okay. So in the term test, we didn't go for any kind of programming questions like maybe long question. So in addition of those kind of question, there will be kind of long question where you need to write a code for a specific problem. Okay, so that's the difference between your previous term test and the final exam. So you already like in your term test there was like short question, right? So maybe in the final there can be some multiple choice question also, including those short questions, and there will be some kind of long question. Okay, so question maybe like I can give you some code and I will ask like, is there any error in this code? If there is error, correct those error. So there can be so this is one kind of format. Another kind of format can be like, I will just give you a problem, you have to write the code for that problem. Okay, so maybe another kind of the problem can be like, I will just give you the code, that like the correct code, and I will say like, what will the output if you run this code, something like that. Okay, so we'll discuss it more in our next Monday class. Okay, clear? Any more question before we start? Okay, so in the last class we already learned about the union, right, and kind of a use of union in C program, right? Most important thing we learned, that is function pointer, and then also we saw how we can implement interface like and polymorphism like behavior in C. We're not saying inheritance and polymorphism in C, we're saying kind of. Okay, we cannot provide the object oriented programming things in C because C is not object oriented. Okay, so today we are going to list the strategies for detecting and handling errors. Also, we will see to compare and contrast strategies for detecting and handling the errors. Okay. So we all know that error happens, right? So we are human beings, so we write code, and it's pretty normal that human can do error, right? So what we learned so far, so how we can handle this error, right? Okay, so there can be like pre things, like what I'm saying is that like there can be some thing handled by the programmer, right? Even there can be some way the code can be handled or error free by the user, right? So whenever we see like the programmer side, it's actually the design by contract, right? So whatever you are using the precondition, post condition, and the invariants, it's actually designed by contract, like you are trying to avoid any kind of error, right? Okay, and then whenever the user is using those code, he or she can test, right? Okay, clear. But still there can be error, right? Okay, so what we're going to focus today, actually basically two things: how do you detect when you get an error, and what you should do when you get an error. Okay, so how we can detect error? So it's not fixed, right? So every language has different things to detect the error. So that's why we are saying this is idiomatic, right? So it's language specific. It's not fixed for all of the language, right? So what about error detection in C? So we don't have anything called the formal error management built into the language, right? So most common way to do is just run and check, right? So actually we are politely asking our OS to do something like fopen or malloc, right? And we need to check whether the fopen or the malloc, they are returning null or not, right? So we need to must check that thing, right? Okay. And look at the return code to see if it is worked or not. So this is the way we do error detection in C. So there is no formal things. We have to run and check, right? So how we can do it? Suppose this is an example, right? So we are creating a file pointer and we're saying if not file pointer null, right? Then we are going to execute our code. Otherwise, you need to process that if, right? Maybe if it is null, you need to like again you need to take the input, or again you need to say like this is a wrong file, or the file cannot be found, input it again, something like that, correct? So what about the other language process these things? Suppose for the Go language, it's the first line, it's kind of working like a tuple in Python, right? You have two things, and this os.open actually return two things. One is file pointer, and another is there any error or not, right? So then we can check like for this error, is it not nil? That means there are some error, right? Then you are printing something on the screen, right? Okay. Otherwise, then you are processing the if, that is the file pointer. Okay, clear? So what we are going to do basically in this run and check. So there is no other way rather than using this if and else box, right? We don't have any other way rather than checking with the if else block, right? So now what can be happen that if you have a very long code, there can be like many if and else to handle, right? So it's totally depend upon you how you are designing, right? So maybe you are just calling the file pointer, or like you are using the fopen, but you may forgot to call or check using this if else block, like whether that file pointer is null or not, right? So this is kind of tough to debug, right? So what do you think, like why this is tough to debug? Any idea? Do you have any idea regarding like why this is kind of a tough? Too many if statement. Matthew said yes for sure. Any other? You do not know where to look. Uh, yes, kind of. But whenever you are getting any error or warning, you can then for sure you know like where to look, right? Adrian says only checks one of the possible error. Yes. So can you describe more like what do you mean by one of the possible error? What can be more error like is it like you are trying to say whenever an error is happening you can only get that particular error, not the other error? Okay, so let's move forward. So we have some idea like why this is tough to debug. So that's the thing, like you need to think all of the errors in advance, right? Like Adrian said, like it's just checking one possible error. The code that you're calling might have an unexpected error, right? So there might be an error in the error checking code, right? This can be possible. Like whatever the code you are writing for checking the error, there can be even error in those line of codes, right? So what if you do not check for errors, right? How do you figure out what the error is, right? So we don't have any kind of control in our C programming language, right? But for other language we don't bother about that, right? So what about Linux? So maybe we can go to this website and then so you already familiar with GoTo, right? So what we're doing here, we're kind of like having this GoTo block. Okay, so you know that you can have multiple blocks of code, and then whenever you have something, rather than accessing this, you are directly jumping to this block, right? So this is you can do, but this is not a nice way to do, right? Like the Java and Python are doing, like they have the exception handling. But this is one way to do it, right? So this is the way we can do it in C also, right? Suppose this is the main function. So whenever you are kind of having a block that you are suspecting like that can be having some kind of error, okay? So if it is not working properly, you can just have this definition, okay? And just a colon sign, you can put your codes under this block and you can just say go to that block. Clear? So this is one way, right? So any questions so far? Okay, so what is exceptions, right? So error handling built into the language, right? So we can think about the Java try catch or for try except in Python, right? So the thing is that in this language, the error handling things and the exception things working in different way. Like you have some block that is handling the error, and then you have like that is catching those errors, and you have some blocks that is handling those error, right? So we can see one example. This is the way we do in Java, right? So whatever you have this buffer reader and we're creating the object, we're saying new buffer reader this, right? So if this is not working, you know that this IO exception will be caught, right? Otherwise you will this line of codes will be processed, right? So whenever you are in the try block, that is actually you know that you are kind of catching the error, and you are in the catch block, you are handling those error, right? Clear? So the thing is that So we are doing it like, we can do it two ways, right? So we can say like this, right? Otherwise, whenever we have like the method, that method can throws IO exception also, right? So there can be two ways. One is the user specific, another is you can do it by your Java virtual machine itself or the class itself, right? Like this method is throwing the IO exception, right? Clear? So in general, in Java, what we have two kinds of exceptions, right? One is checked and another is unchecked, right? So checked, if you can remember, it's more like the logical error things, and the unchecked, it's more like whatever the file IO things, the IO exception things, right? So that's why you have two major class in Java. One is called error and another is called exceptions. Okay. So now think about it, like the exceptions versus whatever we have in C, that is run and check, right? So why do you think exception handling is better than run and check? Or why do you think it's worse? Any suggestion? What do you think at first? Which one is better, exception or the run and check things? So Matthew said exception handling is better. Another student also said exception handling is better, and the two students said. So all of you think like exception handling is better, right? So why this is better than run and check then? So Matthew said it tells the programmer what went wrong, and then Curtis said it prints out where the error happened, exactly what went wrong. Yeah, for sure. So okay, so Ikram Khan Shipon, could you please mute yourself? Or I can do it, I think. Okay, done. Okay, so Kotlin says because most of the time you want to handle the exception appropriately. Yes. Okay, so who says that this is not good? Like, is there anyone who think like this is not good? Or what is the worst part of this exception handling? Rather than going to the next slide. Okay, so maybe we can go to the next slide then. So this is actually technically slower. Okay, so compiler needs to do some extra code to deal with the exception for sure, right? Okay, and then if you go to like debugging those exception handling, you will see that there are many traces, and so we are saying ugly traces because, so something like you are going to another class and then class is going to another one and another one, like it's kind of, you are doing like inside you are going many of the classes to find out like what kind of exception you are handling. Okay, so so it's kind of wrapped up, exception may be wrapped and then rewrapped and then rewrapped, so there can be like many possible subclasses with that particular exception class. Okay, and there can be like it can be silently hidden as well. Clear? So so this is kind of a bad thing of exception handling, right? So we are just going through each of the like advantage and disadvantage of like various aspects regarding C and the other language regarding exception handling. Okay, so but it's still like it's good, right? So whatever the exception handling code we have in other language, that doesn't mix with the application logic, right? So we have a separate block for that, right? And it's enforced by the compiler. Like if you can remember in Java, whenever you have something like the file things, uh, so it will automatically, you have to write that throws IO exception thing, right? So if you don't write, it will give you an warning or error like it. So this can be throw this exception. So you have to include that, right? So it's enforced by the compiler, right? And then these are actually classes, right? So we have to import those classes, and this is, you have to use it, and like all are the exceptions in Java. So if you look at the tree, they are all classes and subclasses, okay? And then they are giving you much more informations rather than whatever we're doing in C, right? So these are all positive side of exception handling, right? So still, like whenever we are doing run and check in our C programming language, Eric said include. What is that? What do you mean by include? Anyway, uh, no, you were talking about Java. I lost context. Sorry. Yes. Yes. This is about the Java things, right? So we don't have exception handling in C. We just need to check we using if and else, nothing else in C. Okay. That is we are calling run and check kind of, okay? So that's actually you are kind of detecting the error, right? So now how you are going to handle those error, right? So using run and check or if and else, like you are just detecting the error, right? So whenever you detect the error in C program language, then how you are going to handle that error? Any idea? So one said depends on the case. Ikram said if else, give error message. Print out useful information to the programmer. Then either fix it or put it into an if else. Yes, so there can be like several ways to handle it, right? So most of the time, whatever we are handling this, like, and then at last, what we need to do? Clean up things, right? So whenever you open the file, so if it is successful, right, then you need to close that file and then free up the memory at last, right? Okay. So how we are doing it in Java then, right? So whenever we have this try and catch block, if you can remember, we have a finally block as well, right? So whatever it handles, or like whatever it catch or doesn't catch the error, the finally block all the time will be executed, right? So whatever you are having, like the error or not, you can always clean it up, right, in the final block, right? Okay, clear. There is another way of doing the same thing in Java. Rather than saying try catch, we can just, this is called try with resources. Like inside the try, inside the parenthesis, we can put whatever we want to, like there can be chance of error, like the new buffer reader things, like the opening file, okay? And then we can catch the error handling. So why this is better than the previous code is that for this try and catch things, using the finally block, we're clean up by ourselves, like we have to uh, do it by ourselves. But in this code, actually whenever you use this, like try with resources, the reader is automatically closed. Okay, clear? So what about the other language like Swift? Okay, so we have another thing there that is we call guard. Okay, so and after this guard we are just saying like whatever the condition we want to check. Okay, so if it is successful, then you will get the kind of the user input. Otherwise it will just show you the error, right? So in different languages we have different things to handle the error or catch the error, right? Clear? Suppose what about Go? Then whatever we are like opening a file, how we can do close the file? We just need to say defer f dot close like that. Okay. So each of the languages is different, but for every language we do the exception handling, right? Clear? So for today, actually, I will stop it here rather than going for the case studies. So we'll do it in the next class. So now, do you have any question regarding exception handling? So Adrian said, so run check doesn't use much stack memory. Uh, check and run doesn't use much stack memory. So it depends actually. So if you have like there can be like one check, right? So if you have just one checking using one if else, it's okay, but it can be depend upon the problem, right? You can have several checking, right? Then it will for sure it will take more memory. Fraser said, will we be tested on the how the different languages handle exception? No, for sure. It's just like the idea. Okay. I will not say like how you can test Java or Swift or Go, like how you can test the exception handling there. No. Matthew said, do we need to know exception handling? No. What is the difference between guard and assert? Guard and assert. Let me check. So in assert, right? So you are just having like true or false, right? But here you have more option, right? Like if this is false, you can write this, right? Or do like things. Okay, so what are the advantage and disadvantage of run check? Probably run check is faster. Like I said, there is no particular straightforward answer to this, because whenever using the run and check, you don't know like how many times you need to check, or how many if and else block you need for checking all the error or exceptions in your code, right? So like I said before, if you just have an F open, it's okay, right? But if you're going to open like hundred of files in the same program, then it's not good, right? Clear? What are the advantages? Okay, so probably run check is faster. So we cannot. So I already answered. Like we can. We don't have any extra for answer. It depends upon the problem. Okay. So so I'm available like up to 1:30. If you guys have any kind of question, you can also email me, or we can have the WebEx meeting if you have any kind of question. Otherwise, we will just end today's class here because this is a very short topic. One question: how does one do exception handling in brain? What do you mean? It's a language processor. Let me check. Like maybe you are doing some typo. Oh, he or she is right. Okay, so we have yeah, so we can see. Yeah, so nice to know. So I knew something new today from one of you. That is good. So I don't have any idea about this language. Okay, so you can have a look online. I don't have any kind of idea of this language. Okay, here. So clear. So Tahmid says he joined later. Okay, was there any announcement in the beginning? Not really. Your assignment 4 is up. That's the main thing. You should finish it by April 12th. And then next class, we will go for some real life case study. And then you need to apply whatever you learn in the course on those case study. Okay, and then on the Monday class, I will review for your final exam, like the question type, and then for sure, like your final exam will be whatever the scheduled date. It's April 24th, 9 a.m. Okay, so I will discuss more about your final exam on Monday. So A3 grade, when it will come out, hopefully end of this week or on Monday or on Monday. Okay, next week Monday. I will try to give for sure, like within next week for sure. Yeah. So any questions so far? Can I go through the assignment for sure? Just a moment. Okay, so from where you need to start, right? So you need to start from object manager dot c, right? So if you look at your interface, you have already know like what you need to design, right? So let me open the. Okay, so we discussed this about in like the object manager in class also, right? Okay, so what I can do, if it is really hard for you, I can give some kind of a skeleton, like previously what I did in the assignment 3. Maybe that will be helpful. Like it will give you some more idea. But whatever you have to do is just like these things. Okay, you need to write these things. That's all, right? If you have any further question. Yes, and then you have to test it, right? So this garbage collection actually this compute function, right? And then you have this main file to test it, right? Okay, clear? I guess is union not needed, no, because we learned union after these assignment things, right? So union was like this week topic, so you don't need any union here. You just need a structure of that memory block, right? And that one actually a linked list, right? So you just need, it's not even the W linked list, it's just a single linked list. You need the next information, like what is the next node, nothing else. Okay, Adrian. Okay, so Andrea asked, and we are using a double buffer. Yes, double buffer. Yes. So you are using two buffer for sure, and you know that double buffer things will be used in this compact function, right? Whenever you are, so the compact function is using like a garbage collector, right? And if you go through the forum, like one student I think already asked like how you can declare this buffer thing. So I described there how you can declare. It's just an array of the memory size. Okay, you can declare it unsigned char and also static because this is private to only this your object manager.c. Clear? Any other question? Okay, then we are ending today's class here. If you have any other question, you can still email me, or I can be available in Cisco WebEx if you need any other kind of help. Okay, so I'll see you guys on next class Friday. Okay, bye everyone, stay safe.